Hey y'all, I'm sorry I only had one video last week. I filmed 2 videos, but I ended up hating one of them, so I was like, I'm not gonna upload. But I'm back, and I have some creepy Ouija board stories that I'm super excited to read. I eat this shit up. Ever since I stopped playing the Ouija board, I love hearing Ouija board stories. I don't love when you guys send them in or when you guys play them because they're dangerous, but I do love these stories. I don't know why, but I did find 20 plus, so I don't know if we'll get through all 20 terrifying and true Ouija board stories. We're gonna get into this. Number 1 says, my first mistake was insulting it. My friend had mentioned that she had one, so I asked her to pull the board out so I could check it out. At first she said no, but then agreed to do it as long as she didn't have to participate. After she had the board set up, I asked, is there anyone in here? Nothing. So being a dumb teenager, I said, if anything isn't here and you're not talking, you're a coward. The board was put away after that. Fast forward about a week later and have me sleeping upstairs on my couch. I wake up on a stereotypical stormy night, thunder, lightning, wind, and rain, the works. I look around to see why I woke up and couldn't see a thing and decided to try and fall back asleep. After laying there for about 30 seconds, I hear from downstairs, get the boy, in a very raspy, wispy voice. I open my eyes and listen, nothing. Start to go back to sleep, get the boy. It was much louder this time, then my downstairs door slams shut. Hi, Nar. I freaked the fuck out because nobody slept down there and we had no drafts. Number 2, it spoke in Latin. Doing the board with 6 or 7 people, only one of my friends knows Latin and he is not touching the oracle. The contact starts speaking to us in Latin. This same friend later pulled his hand back from the oracle, having received what looked like a small scratch on his wrist, not bleeding but bright red as if it was fresh. His girlfriend at the time was plagued by a contact they had made and would wake up with strange bruises on her legs. Okay, number 3 says a creepy doll. Nar! I have a terrifying story about a Ouija board. I got a call from my cousin who said that he, his brother, his dad, and his best friend were using a Ouija board in their basement. Prior to starting, they took a large porcelain doll out of the room because it was creepy and placed it in an adjacent room face down on a pile of towels. My cousin took a short break because the board was just spouting nonsense and he went to take a shit. Okay. His dad and brother and friends started asking the board questions without him. One of the questions was, who's in the other room? It just started spouting random numbers, and when my cousin came back into the room, his brother said that it wasn't working and that they were going to put it away, and he showed him the answer to the last question he asked, and he said, dude, that's my social security number. Then they started to talk to whatever started spewing answers out. It told my cousin he would die in the Air Force. At this point, they tell the entity they are communicating with to prove itself, and then spelled out the word doll, and they were like, what the fuck? They opened the door to check on the porcelain doll they had laid in the other room, and when they opened the door, the doll was standing up right in front of the door, staring right at them. Everyone freaked out and ran out of the house. His best friend burned the Ouija board, and I think he temporarily went nuts for a few months. My cousin, for some reason, then joined the Air Force and is on base in Europe now. What? Wait, literally, what the fuck? This one's super short. It says my dad was in the spirit world. It talked about my dead father. Spot on. It was so freaky, and talking about my dad kind of makes me uncomfortable to begin with. Number 5 says, I asked it how long I had to live. We all asked it a question that only one person asking would know the answer to. It would answer the questions. One question that somebody asked was, what was the name of the boat I went on a cruise on when I was 6? It answered. We played with this thing forever. We had cold spot experiences and would place a candle where the cold spot was and the candle would burn sideways, not straight up and down. Nar, what are you doing? One night, we all asked it how long we had left to live, and this is where it gets scary. Everyone asks and they have 50 to 60 plus years left. I got to ask and it says 10. I asked 10 years and it says days. I pretty much shit a brick at this point. It said I was going to be killed in a car accident by a girl named Emma. We would ask it 3 days later and it would say I had 7 days left. Ask it 2 days later, it would say I have 5 days left, and so on. I'm freaking out at this point, carrying a Bible in my pocket and wearing a big cross. I finally tell my dad and he doesn't believe me, so I made one out of a piece of paper and used a CD to show him. It worked, and he flipped out and told me that I didn't have to go to school that day. I was supposed to die. I didn't go to school, and nothing happened. Next one says choked, which is kind of scary. I don't know why I like saying that. I have no evidence, and I do not care if you don't believe me. I've used a board with results and let something into my home, and have been physically assaulted by this entity. It started out with that feeling that you're being watched, and doors closing, footsteps on the hardwood when you're home alone, and progressed slowly into being kept awake by something shaking my bed or pulling off the covers. Sometimes even whispering my name. The board would disappear for days on end and then show up in places you would never have put it. I became obsessed with it. Then it was a black mass in the corner of the room, or the silhouette of a man watching you from the doorway. After that, it escalated pretty quickly. I had my hair pulled, fingers pricked, scratched, choked, held down in bed while this thing whispered in my ear in what could have only been Latin. We had our house blessed and the bad thing hasn't shown back up. Just the normal occurrences now. But I will never again play with one of those boards. That is like perfect. That is like the reason you should never play with it, because all of those things are so possible. And like, I know some people just don't believe, but I strongly do, especially because of my experiences with it. That is like the perfect one for like why you should never use it. Thank you for that. I can see you through the window. I was about 12 or 13, spending the night at a friend's house, goofing around with the Ouija board with him and his sister. We were getting all sorts of gibberish plus words spelled out, just kind of scaring ourselves for fun, not taking it seriously. When we got the message, I can see you through the window. And then I can see you through his eyes, or something like that. There was just a small window in the basement room where we were, and just the backyard and woods past the driveway visible through that window. We asked more questions and it said, I'm under the car. So we somehow got up the nerve to go out with a flashlight and peer under the car, where we saw a huge black stray cat which was hissing. We ran inside freaking out. At that exact moment, the power failed and all the lights in the house went out. We just about actually shit ourselves. A few minutes later, the power came back on and we sat up till dawn that night scared and never played with the board again. Okay, next one is our first mistake. My wife and I had some unexplained things going on in the house we were renting. So we got a board so we could try to figure out what we were dealing with. Bad idea. The board was just a standard plain board. We used it one night to speak with, hopefully, our spirit. What we didn't realize is that Ouija boards open the door for anything to come through and speak. The looking piece flew off the board near the end of our session and we had no real answers to anything. We were speaking with something, but it was very evasive with its answers. Things got worse in the house and we eventually broke our lease and moved. Radios and TVs going on by themselves, water running. After the board though, things got bad. Voices, moving objects, and my wife says I got possessed one night, but I can't validate that as I was asleep. Okay, this one just says, OMG. My mom has warned me against using them due to her own experiences. She used one at her friend's house when she was young. Nothing of consequence happened during the use of the board, yet she noticed that whatever ghost they were chatting with seemed to be violent and had it in for her. She shrugged it off and left it in the car. On the way home, she hit and gruesomely killed a horse, which appeared out of nowhere, running at her car in the middle of a city in the afternoon. Wait, like, actually, what? Wait, okay, that one was called OMG. That, that was the perfect title for that, because actually, what? Okay, the wood chipper accident? Oh, brother. My great aunt has never married, and when I asked why, my dad told me the story. Apparently, when she was 16, she had a pretty serious boyfriend. When she used a board, she asked if they would get married, and it said no. She asked if they would break up, no. Asked if one of them would die, and it said yes. And when she asked which of them, it said goodbye. A week later, he was in a wood chipper accident at the mill where he worked. Like, what the Nar, not right now. I am processing. Okay, we're gonna move on from that. We lost 10 hours. My friends and I were about 14 or 15. She had a Ouija board that we used quite often. I always thought she was pushing it for the fun factor. I never took it too seriously. One night we started, and it was about 9 p.m. We started getting very strange sayings. None of them I can remember 27 years later, and we got a name. Although the name I have forgotten over the years, it said he was from Malaysia. He was here to protect us. I do remember that much. The next thing we know, it's 7 a.m. It was like we blinked and the sun was up. It was very freaky. We lost 10 hours of our life. Neither of us remember anything about it. We were just sitting there at the table, staring at each other like, what happened? Too bad we didn't have a third person there to tell us. She would never use it again. I did, but I had never had that happen again. Okay, this one's also pretty short. It says, warning. The last experience I had with a Ouija board, the planchette flew across the room, smashing against the wall of its own power. They are a doorway, and unless you know how to interrogate the spirit, you have no idea whatsoever who or what is communicating with you. You've opened a door and called them through. Oops. 13, accurate death prediction. We might get through all 20. We might. I was staying at a hotel with friends in Northern Ontario for a chess tournament. Geeky, I know. Can't exactly remember the town. Anyway, we were looking for some thrills at night and someone busted out a board. One of those official ones you get from Toys R Us. We asked a few questions I can't remember, but I will never forget when we asked if it knew any of us was going to die. Yeah, I know, strange question to ask. So it spelled out a person's name that was with us at the time, and then a date, which was approximately a year later. My friend died a year later from cancer in his knee. He knew it about 6 months before he died. To this day, I'm still curious about the device, but damned if I will ever touch it again. That is like it predicting death is so fucking scary to me, like I can't. Holy shit, okay, this next one has like photos with it. Wait, oh, I just like lost it. This next one has photos, so I'm gonna put the photos over here. It's really short, but there's like, look at this. These are the photos of what happened to me after using a homemade Ouija board tonight. We asked a variety of questions, asking the spirit if it was the one who had scratched my chest, which had been done prior to using the board. It replied yes, and it said it was here for me and that it was not going to leave. I pray that it will. That is terrifying. No. Okay, 15 says I need. Only did it once when I was like 17. In a room full of people, and one kid said something like, "This is all fake. I need proof." Before he finished the word proof, the lights in the entire house went off. If that was a coincidence, it was the oddest one I've ever seen. No one else was in the house, and the fuse box was buried in the back of a closet. The kid's dad had to come home and turn it back on, and said it never happened before. The entire circuit tripped. Okay, 16 says it knew Arabic. I always thought these things were bullshit. However, years ago, this changed when I did it once with some random people at a get-together. We were talking to all sorts of different spirits, and I wasn't taking any of it seriously. Then I thought of a way to put it to the test. I'm Kuwaiti. I don't know how to say that. I'm so sorry. I'm Kuwaiti American and was born in Kuwait. So I know Arabic and knew of a friend of my brother that passed away recently. So I asked to speak with him. Now, only one person knew me at the get-together, and they didn't even know that much about me. I was definitely the only one who could speak Arabic. I was in Oklahoma at the time. So I asked in Arabic how he died. The board spelled out car crash. I was a bit shocked, but still didn't buy it completely, so I asked a more detailed question. I asked in Arabic how old he was when he died. It pointed to 1 and then 3. That's when I really started freaking out. No one would have ever known these details, let alone understood what I was asking. As for more details on the crash, he flew out of the sunroof, and after that I stopped. Haven't touched a board since. Okay, this one says Satan. My grandma bans them from her house because when she was younger, her friends messed with one. They asked who they were talking to, it spelled out Satan, and then her friend, who owned the board, started convulsing, and from then on she swore she felt a presence when she sleeps. Stop! Okay, this one says cunt. About 2 to 3 years ago, my friend brought her Ouija board to my house so we could play it. The first few times it was used, I just watched while some of my other friends used it. Then, I decided I would join in on it. We asked if there was a spirit present, and it went to yes. We asked its name, but instead of going to the letters to spell it out, it started going to random letters, not making out any specific word. I asked for its name again, and it spelled out bitch. I started freaking out, and then it spelled cunt, then went right back to random letters again. I freaked out and left the room after that. Whatever it was, it either was just really mean or something other than a spirit. Probably never used it one again after that. Okay, we have like 5 or 6 more, but I'm only gonna read 2 more, I think. We'll see. Strange markings. My brother built a Ouija board once and had some pretty weird encounters. I'll have to ask him for details sometime. Anyways, he shaved down his pointer thing once and found weird markings on it that only showed up under a black light. No markings found in the wood the pointer was cut from, and the markers would show up as black under the black light while this showed red. Does anyone else experience this? That's weird, but I don't really understand. 20 says this is not a game anymore. Perfect story, 100% true. About 15 years ago, my sister had some friends over one night. They were in the basement watching scary movies. They had a Ouija board. They started cussing at it and calling it shit and fucking fake. It stopped responding, so they began watching the movie again. All of a sudden, all the lights and electricity goes out. They start screaming. Then the TV comes on, all static, and is blaring noise. They were yelling and crying. Then the TV shuts off and comes back on to just a black screen. The words, "This is not a game anymore," rolls across the screen in all white. After, the TV shuts off and they're all in complete darkness. They run out of the house. Afterwards, they go back to the house and our dog hid, and when they found it, all it did was bark and look angry at them. Insane. Actually insane. How did they do that? Okay, figure eights. A girl brought her authentic Ouija board made out of maple straight from Salem. Ironically, she was very Catholic, but loved her board. It was a very interesting few nights in the dorm with it. I think the second night we were playing with it, it was going slow, not much movement, meh. I had my hand off the planchette because I still wasn't so sure about the thing. Suddenly, it was like cold fingers grabbed my shoulders ever so slightly, and this terrible feeling in the back of my mind just came to surface. I looked to the board and the planchette started moving in a demonic pattern, I think figure eights this time. I looked at the girl and said, "I have a bad feeling about that," in time for her to realize what was happening. She stopped the movement and bid the spirit goodbye. In that moment, the icy grip loosened and all was well. Everyone was like, whoa, when the girl explained that the figure eight meant something was trying to get out of the board. Very common lore that goes with Ouija board usage. Okay, we are going to get through all of them. So there's 24, this is 22. It says Max is always around. When I was about 14, my best friend had a sleepover birthday party. Being the silly little girls we were, we decided to make a Ouija board to use, not really knowing any of the rules like making it say goodbye. After an hour or so, I wandered off to read some tarot cards and watch the rest of The Exorcist with the other couple of girls who didn't want to communicate with spirits. Rereading that last sentence, I sound like such a stereotype. I still use tarot cards though, so I never grew out of the phase it seems. Here's where it got weird. After I left, the spirit talking to my friends changed, as it switched to a different spirit altogether. His name was Max, and he was looking for me. I've never known a Max in my life. My friends yelled out what he was saying as it moved, and I was riding off as them teasing me until I started giving them information about me that no one at the party knew. Things about minor abuse I was facing and other little things. That freaked me right out. I begged for them to stop playing, even after Max tried to convince me that he was not trying to hurt me. My friends were awesome and stopped playing before I started crying, and I thought that was the end of it. The next time a Ouija board came out was the next year, and only one girl from the original party was among the group. We were baking a cake, so when the buzzer went off, she and I headed up to take it out of the oven. When we got back to the group, another girl turned to me and asked, "Who's Max?" Apparently, he has stuck around after the first time. If my friends want to use a Ouija board, they don't invite me over unless they want to speak to Max. He's always around. A few times in my life, I've heard a voice call out my name. Usually makes me stop for a minute. No more, but at least twice, had I not stopped, I would have been in the path of a car going too fast to stop before it would have hit me. I strongly believe Max has stuck around to be helpful, but had we not pulled out that Ouija board, I would have never known about him. Okay, June 24th. My girlfriend told me this story about an experience she had with a Ouija board while in high school sometime in 1986. She had a friend named Johnny who was suffering from CF or some other debilitating illness, who had recently been hospitalized as a result. Both she and her friend Shelley visited Johnny regularly in the hopes of keeping his spirits up and for a quick recovery. One night after visiting Johnny, they were at Shelley's when they decided to try out a Ouija board. After a while, they started communicating with the spirit who seemed to know a lot about them that it really shouldn't. After some questions about boys and general questions one would expect teenage girls to ask, my girlfriend decided to ask about Johnny and his condition. The board quickly spelled out 24 June 1987. Johnny won't have to worry anymore, and went to goodbye. My girlfriend and Shelley were so convinced the board was giving them a date for recovery and that they actually wrote the message down and sealed it in an envelope. The following year, on June 24th, turned out that Johnny indeed no longer needed to worry about his condition. It was the day that he died. That is oh wait, that was the last one actually. Okay, I thought there was 24. I guess I got it mixed up because I said June 24th, so I saw 24. So that was the last one. Wait, those were insane. Like, actually fucking insane. Nar has literally been here the entire video, like, just chilling. Nar, say something. Say something to the audience. Did you hear that? Like I said at the beginning of this, I don't know why I love hearing about Ouija board stories, but it also terrifies me to no end. Like, I would never use a board ever again in my life. And I hope that you guys don't either. Like, I hope this scares you enough to not ever use them. I really hope so. And like, doesn't encourage it. If I'm encouraging it, But that is all for now. I will have the article down below. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. No. What was that? It's a Nar? Nar, what are you doing? Why are you meowing like that? He normally has this like meow. So like, I don't know why he's like meow. Like, he's on camera, so he has like a lighter voice. He's trying to sound like more feminine on camera. So I should have 2 videos this week. I have Taylor Swift this weekend. And I have a friend coming into town on Wednesday, but I think I have enough time to get 2 videos done before Wednesday night. So I should have 2 videos this week. I'm gonna do like a TikTok video. Those are always fairly easy for me to film and edit. So I'm gonna get one of those prepped for y'all. But yeah, I should have 2 videos because I only had 1 last week, and I told myself I was only gonna do 1 this week, so I wasn't like stressed for time or like rushing, whatever. But I think I have enough time to do 2, and since I only did 1 last week, I'm gonna do this one. You know what I'm saying. I can also edit while she's here because she gets here Wednesday night, and then we have all day Thursday, and my videos don't take me like a super long time to edit, so I could also edit on Thursday. Like, I have time to do that, and she can work and do stuff. So yeah, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I have no idea why. I'm just like speaking out loud. Like, wait, that's how you speak. I'm just like thinking out loud. But I don't think I have anything exciting to tell you. Unfortunately, nothing has really happened. I am excited for Taylor. I'm dressing up as Red, Taylor's version, so I have like the trench coat and the hat. Milady. It's a really ugly hat, but I'm gonna wear it anyways because I have to commit to the bit. Weems is on crack. Rumble is getting attacked by Weems, who's running back and forth. Nar has not left my side this whole video. What is happening? What is he doing? But yeah, so I'm dressing up as Red, Taylor's version. I'm super excited. That's my favorite Taylor album. I love Red. Granted, I haven't really listened to like much of the newer stuff. I will always love Red. All Too Well is like one of my favorites of all time. But yeah, I'm gonna go because I feel like this is gonna be a long video. I think so. I love you guys. Well, what the fuck? Like, I just do things and I'm like, what was that? I love you so much. See ya.